Have you ever stopped to wonder if Lucifer and Iblis are actually the same entity? Or if everything you've heard until now has been a confusion between religions? Why does Christianity speak of a fallen angel of light, while Islam describes a jinn made of fire who refuses to obey God? And here's the most shocking part. Are these two traditions talking about the same being, or about two completely different enemies? In this video, you're going to uncover the truth behind these feared and deeply misunderstood figures. We'll compare what Christianity really says about Lucifer and what the Qur'an teaches about Iblis. Get ready to question what you thought you knew. Break old paradigms and understand how evil is portrayed in two of the world's largest religions. Watch until the end, because the final revelation may completely shift your spiritual perspective. Let's start by addressing the confusion. In pop culture and common belief, Lucifer, Satan, the devil, and Iblis are treated as if they're the same thing. But in reality, each name represents a unique concept that evolved independently over centuries of theology, translation, and interpretation. The Christian and Islamic traditions are not referring to the exact same being when mentioning these figures, and the differences go far beyond surface level. They are deeply spiritual. First, let's look at Lucifer. The name Lucifer doesn't actually appear in most original biblical manuscripts. It comes from the Latin translation of Isaiah 14:12 in the Vulgate Bible, where the term Lucifer means light bringer or morning star. Originally, this passage wasn't talking about a spiritual being. It was a poetic insult directed at the king of Babylon. However, over time, Christian tradition reinterpreted this fallen star as a reference to a rebellious angel, laying the foundation for the Lucifer story. That idea was reinforced by writers like John Milton in Paradise Lost, where Lucifer is portrayed as the archangel who famously said, "Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven." In this narrative, Lucifer was created as a being of light and immense beauty, but his pride and desire to be equal to God led to his fall. Theologically, this story emphasizes a war in heaven, a cosmic rebellion rooted in the misuse of free will. Lucifer's fall becomes the symbol of corrupted perfection, of greatness turned into opposition. Now compare this to Iblis, as described in the Qur'an. Iblis was not an angel. He was a jinn, a creature made of smokeless fire, distinct from angels, who are made of light. According to the Qur'an, God commanded all beings to bow to Adam. The angels obeyed. Iblis refused, not because he didn't believe in God, but because he believed himself to be superior. "You created me from fire and him from clay," he said. That moment of disobedience was not a denial of God's existence, but a refusal to obey a command, driven by arrogance and racial pride. And this is crucial. Iblis is not presented as someone trying to overthrow God or become divine. He is someone whose ego blinded him to humility. After his refusal, God expelled him, but allowed him to continue existing and to test humanity until the day of judgment. Unlike Lucifer, who falls for rebelling, Iblis acts with divine permission. His existence fulfills a role in God's greater plan. So, what are the fundamental differences between Lucifer and Iblis? Lucifer, in Christian tradition, is an angel who rebelled against God, a being of light who becomes the prince of darkness. Iblis, in Islamic tradition, is a jinn who refused a divine command because he believed himself superior, not in rebellion against God, but in rejection of Adam's value. Lucifer's story is about the corruption of divine beauty. Iblis's story is about pride in identity and refusal to accept the divine order. Lucifer becomes Satan, the adversary of God and all that is good. Iblis becomes Shaitan, the whisperer, the tempter, the one who misleads humans, not by force, but by suggestion. And perhaps the most fascinating difference, Lucifer fights against God. Iblis acknowledges God's authority, but challenges his decision. In essence, Iblis doesn't deny God, he denies God's choice. Despite these differences, it's easy to see why people confuse them. Both are symbols of pride, disobedience, and temptation. Both represent a fall from grace to condemnation. They are dark mirrors of what happens when creation turns against its creator. But here's what makes it even more intriguing. In both traditions, these figures are not just villains, they are tests. Their existence challenges humans to choose. obedience or pride, humility or rebellion. The real battlefield isn't in heaven or hell, it's within us. Our culture has added its own layers. Movies and TV shows have turned Lucifer into a seductive anti-hero. Iblis, when portrayed, often appears as a faceless evil force. But these simplifications miss the depth of what these figures were meant to represent. They are not just external enemies. They are reflections of ego, pride, and the inner whisper. In Christianity, evil is rebellion, a break from divine light. In Islam, evil is deviation, a consequence permitted by free will, used by God to test the sincere. One sees Satan as a rebel general, the other sees Iblis as a divine examiner. What does this tell us about how each religion sees the human soul? One views it as vulnerable to corruption through false glory. The other as a battlefield between obedience and temptation, watched over by a tempter whose power is limited to suggestion. Neither view is shallow. Both are complex and rich in symbolism. And maybe that's the lesson. Maybe these figures, whether you believe in them literally or not, were always meant to serve as warnings about ourselves, about our pride, our refusal to accept, our struggle to obey. Because in the end, Lucifer and Iblis may not be the same being, but they represent the same inner conflict, the war between what we know is right and what our ego wants to believe. So the next time someone says, Lucifer is Iblis, ask yourself, are they talking theology? Or are they oversimplifying something far deeper? If this video helped you see these figures in a new light, share it with someone